Hey, before you watch this thing, hit subscribe, would you? Quit it with the, what is it? Hold on, let me look it up. This is going to be worth it. Quit it with the avoidant attachment style. Just hit it. Don't you want me to feel good? Subscribe. Hi, guys. Neal Brennan. It's the Blocks Podcast. My guest today is a guy I've literally known for 32 years. We've known each other 32 years, but we don't know each other well. But we like each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've never really socialized directly, but it proves that you can know someone a long time, but not well. And it has a significance that's not that significant.
No, I think it's got a pretty big significance. I mean, listen, people who...
No, let me finish. Went to college together for a year. I dropped out. We'll get into that in a second. He was in showbiz before college. He's still in show business. And he's great. The great Jerry O'Connell.
Wow, thank you. What an intro. It's funny, for those watching and a fan of Blocks, I met Neal freshman year, New York University.
Which brings up a block.
We got a good one, everybody.
1992. I've dropped out of college.
This is so good.
Standing on the corner of West 3rd and McDougal Street. I'm handing out flyers for a comedy club, the Boston Comedy Club. This is a job that you do when you're new in comedy. Sarah Silverman did it, got punched out, knocked out cold doing it. Nate Bargatze did it. Pete Holmes did it. A lot of people, whatever. I'm doing it. It's very cold. I'm very gaunt. I'm a college dropout. As I recall, Jerry walked up with a bunch of other people his as good looking as him or better, and he goes, guys, this is Neal. He used to go to NYU with me. He'll be back real soon. Now, in terms of grudges that I held, but I never was mad at you. I was just like, I'm gonna fucking show him. But it was one of those, like, he kicked sand in my face, and I'll never, because you were always very nice to me, and you claim it didn't happen.
Neal, for anyone who knows me,
yeah,
they know there's no way I ever said that to you. He'll be back real soon. I may have said, I hope you come back. I'm sure I was because it was on Bleecker. By the way, I saw you go up numerous times. I was friends with Jay Moore at that time.
I wasn't going up at that point.
For sure, Neal, I saw you go up.
I didn't.
Mike DiNicola, you.
I was
Jay.
a doorman. I didn't work. I never did stand up.
You never went up on stage? Neal, I'm sure I saw you go up on open mic. I'm sure you went up there. It's why I knew you. I couldn't believe that I knew you through my other friend, Jay. And then I would bring, we were excited because we were underage going into a bar.
Huge.
There is no way. So let me tell my side of the story.
Yeah, great.
I've known Neal since 1991.
Yep.
91, Neal.
Yeah, 33 years. Jubilee.
91. Our paths cross at the Boston Comedy Club. You then work at Comedy Central. I think I was working at MT. We just were always around. We always had mutual friends. Jordan Rubin.
Yep. Jordan Rubin, speaking of which, similar thing. I believe he sold me ecstasy at NYU. He claims it never happened. So I could just be.
I never knew him as someone who
he wasn't a drug dealer. He just got it. He just got some from it.
I'm still very friendly with him.
Yeah.
So our lives had intersected. Yeah. Anytime you had done stand, I would, if I saw you would in the early days of Twitter, if you would say I'm at the Comedy Cellar, which you went to often.
Yeah.
Do you recall I went and spent a night with you there one night?
No, that's what I'm saying. But I'm not saying you're not a nice person or a good friend and like an ongoing touchstone. What I'm saying is in 1992, I believe this is what you said.
Okay. You have a show that you're promoting on HBO Max, I believe, a talk show, an interview show.
It was on Sundance. Yes.
I apologize. Sundance. I still read the New York Post. I like the New York Post. Right. Great sports pages. I love their gossip stuff.
It's a good layout, good
very New York.
Yeah.
And I read an interview with you in there, and you tell that story in the interview, and I was in a state of shock. I was like, this never happened. And I was debating whether I take it to X,
The People's
Twitter,
Court?
whatever it was
People's
called
Court?
then.
Judge Judy?
But I was like, no, I'm not even going to start a beef with this. I'm going to let it go. But it's so funny when I got the call for blocks and they were like, you got to submit 5 blocks. I was like, this has got to be one of them. There's no way I ever said that. I think, Neal, maybe I said something along the lines of, I hope you come back. I would love to see you come back. Neal, I was very friendly with you. We had a class together. You made me laugh.
What class?
Language of film.
Yeah. I used to, long story. Someone said I used to argue all the time.
You would debate in that class like crazy.
When I
Neal.
heard that, it made me laugh because I don't remember it at all.
Neal, you were hilarious. I had never seen a student not question authority, not challenge authority, relentlessly harass authority. It was the funniest thing I had ever seen. So when I saw you and knew you were working at the Boston Comedy Club, I'm sure I was with other film students and said, oh, this guy was in film school with us. He's coming back. I hope he comes back. He was the best in this class. That's what I would have said. There's no way I said like a bad guy in a 1980s karate film. You will never
if anyone
succeed.
would know. You were there, bro.
Anyway,
I hear no.
I am very proud of you, Neal. I mean that.
Thank you. I'm very proud of you as well. The thing I want to say is I hear your explanation of it, and you know what I'm like, and I'm gonna agree. I believe your recollection is correct, and mine is I may have just twisted it with my silly human brain. Let me just say something. When I heard, so Jerry was in
Oh man, wait to hear this.
the movie Stand By Me. Now, when Stand By Me came out, I was in 8th grade, I believe, and an older guy said, yeah, there's a movie called Stand By Me. It's great. You probably won't like it, which I was like, automatically, having not seen it, I was like, oh, absolutely go fuck yourself. How do you know what I would like or not like?
Maybe they thought you were like a Porky's guy or something.
Look, guilty as charged. But why can't you like both? No, I wasn't. It's an interesting, because it is it's a great movie, right?
It's a classic.
Yeah, now we consider it a classic. And then when I found out a guy from Stand By Me was in my class, when I heard the rumor, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like, this is what I came to NYU Film School for. It was to hobnob with kids like this. and then you can take it from there.
It's really funny. The fact that I was in Stand By Me.
This is really a good time.
It's something that is just always with me. And I got to tell you, at that age, it was a little tough because people would come up to me, and I'm not saying that you did this, but because I was 11 when I made it.
Yep.
And it came out when I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
And 12-year-olds weren't really into that movie. And if they were, their friends were like, dude, you're not going to like this movie, you know? But typically older kids liked it. So when older kids would see me, they would say, hey, you're the fat kid from Stand By Me.
Right. How did you like that?
Neal, for years,
an intro?
And I have to tell you, even saying it now, it enrages me.
You've come to the right podcast. My God.
I've come to, I'm not going to say it doesn't anger me anymore, but I don't allow people to see it anger. I don't allow people to see it get a rise out of me. So, but also when you're 12, 13, 14, 15, when you move to Los Angeles and you're 22 and you go to a bar, and at that bar is a very famous actor, very top, number one, someone you aspire to be, and they're drunk, and the whole night they're calling you fat kid from Stand By Me, like, and you're there on a date.
The worst part is it's River Phoenix.
No, it's
we don't have to say who it was.
I don't even want to say who it was.
Yeah.
And it's like you want to fight people.
Okay, what's I guess my question is, what about it? Do they call you fat in the movie?
Yes.
Real fat.
That said, I've come to like, I get it. I'm the fat kid from Stand By Me. When I'm crossing the street and, someone driving a garbage truck yells fat kid from Stand By Me, I can't, am I going to chase after that garbage truck and say, take it back? It's
the fat part? Because you weren't fat. It was a small.
I guess it is.
Because you haven't been fat
I know.
since in 32 years that I know of.
Is
Do
this
you
a,
do
is this
it
a good
in-
podcast to talk about
This
stuff like
is the
this? I'm
absolute-
joking. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
This is the so do you use your body now not as like a fuck you, but is there a part of you
No.
that likes staying in shape to rebuke those people?
There is a part of me that am I going to drop an O-bomb? There is a part of me that is obsessed with not getting out of shape. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Because I am not obsessed with shape. I don't take any drugs that would. I mean, I'm not. You can see I'm not on steroids, obviously.
But you're in good shape though.
Yeah.
Like
And by the
hugging
way,
you just now.
it's
Like you've always been
Neal.
in shape.
We are men of a particular age now.
Go fuck yourself. I
we
believe it. Yep.
established we were both freshmen together at New York University. And it's something that I think about a lot. That said, I'm very proud to have been a part of Stand By Me. It is why we're sitting here. Let's be for real.
Okay.
100%. I wouldn't be in this business. I wouldn't be married to Rebecca Romijn. None of this happens unless I'm in Stand By Me.
Yep.
I mean, it is crazy when I'm dating my wife for months. I'm going back 20 years now. And I'm out with her high school friends, and her high school friends, we have a few drinks, and her high school friends say, she was obsessed with Stand By Me, and she loved the fat kid. And I was like, it even comes up there.
So she specifically,
But she didn't tell me. It was her friend that told me.
Could have been Corey. Could have been River.
Yeah.
Could have been either one of the Corey. Wait, it was
Will
Corey,
Wheaton,
River.
Corey Feldman, and
Will
River
Wheaton.
Phoenix.
It could have been Will Wheaton.
So that said, I mean, being in Stand By Me is, you can do the first ding and put the thing in back of me. It does. I do feel imposter syndrome everywhere I go because I'm not, because I'm the fat kid from Stand By Me.
Oh, that's interesting. Like you feel.
So, for
like
example,
you're almost disappointing people that you're not.
for
little
example,
and fat anymore.
Like by the way, Neal, you and I, not to pat ourselves on the back, but people watching your podcast need to know that everyone you bring on and we're lifers in this business. We've been doing it.
Yeah.
And at a pretty high level. And we're still here.
Yes.
And that's not to say we don't both, all of us deal with abject failure. Canceled shows.
We're going to get into that. I love that as it's
canceled shows, not getting roles. I didn't get a role this week.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck, Neal? I was the fat kid in Stand By Me. This is crazy. So when I go on a set, for example, I'm an actor on a show called Billions. Highfalutin show. Paul Giamatti. Paul Giamatti. I'm forgetting Damian Lewis. Corey Stahl.
Yep.
Best of the best.
Dan Soder.
Dan Soder.
For fuck's sake.
Soder. I go on that set and I'm like, oh man, I'm just a fat kid from Stand By Me. I shouldn't be doing scenes with these people, man.
But okay, well, I want to get.
Damian Lewis was in Band of Brothers. Paul Giamatti is Paul Giamatti.
Was in Private Parts. But you were great in Stand By Me.
I know.
What I'm saying is like,
I know.
What do you? Why do you think you're not great in it? Like what's the difference? I am interested in acting as so much of it is about your looks. That would sort of fuck with me in terms of like.
Yeah. As you get older, it shouldn't be. Aren't you more comfortable with how you look as you age?
Yeah, you just kind of like,
there's nothing you can do.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do? We can join 24-hour fitness and try and get on an elliptical for 20 minutes
I don't think
a day.
that's going to make a difference. It doesn't. It's skin. It's how tight is your skin to your fascia is like what it comes down to. It's like, it's pretty random. What happens?
I started taking yoga with my wife, just really to appease my wife, and it's really healthy. It's like fun, It's
everybody
like
knows
stuff.
about yoga. That's not new, but
and relaxing. Like you go in a dark room and
it's not that hard.
Gong.
The thing about yoga is not that hard.
Yeah, I feel like
you feel like you're doing something, but it's not really doing something.
Yeah,
it's like moving a very light couch.
I've only done it a month. It's almost like pickleball, and I feel like an expert.
That's a great analogy.
I'm like basically a yogi.
Hold on, we're going back to child acting. Well, let me ask you this. Do you think there should be child actors? Meaning knowing what it does to you. I'm always curious, and I asked Seth Green the same thing. Like, do you I'm kind of on the
It's
fence.
really funny. Not to make this whole podcast about Stand By Me, and it's a little scary coming to do your show. Because I don't like talking about myself. I know you can laugh at that, but I mean that, and I specifically don't like talking about
your inner life
feelings. You know, somebody made a joke of me the other day. Oh man, I went out with them, and it's a buddy of mine, and he said, sometimes I suffer from depression, which I understand is very serious and all that stuff, and I made a joke like, "Hey, come on, we were going to a sporting event." I said, "Come on, we're going to a major sporting event. Come on, let's not be depressed today." And he said, "What are you, an 80s dad?" And he laughed so hard.
Yeah, that's how they used
So
to do
there is
it.
a part of me that's a little 80s dad in the sense that like, one of my daughters also told me she's like depressed, and I was like, "Hey, just keep going. We're going to keep going. That's what we're going to do." And I know that's the wrong thing to say, especially on this podcast.
I'm now more in that camp than you'd think.
But there is a part of me that this is out of my comfort zone.
I agree.
A, I did it because you're my
appreciate it.
friend, and
Yep.
B, because it's fun to do things out of your comfort zone, something that scares you. So that said,
Like yoga. Go ahead.
So I have a child now who's a teenager who wants to be an actress. I have a Nepo baby.
Great.
And
Congratulations.
I help her with auditions for school. She's not doing anything professional now. And it's funny what a stage parent I turn into. I'm like, listen, you got to sell it when you go in on this audition for high school. We need this money.
Well, I've heard that you're like when you're in showbiz, your kid wants to get in showbiz, it really is like your competitive juices just immediately. But you have a lot of experience with it.
Yeah, but this is pretty funny. When I was in Stand By Me, Stand By Me came out. It was a huge hit. It wasn't a surprise to my family. It was a complete shock to my entire family. I recall River Phoenix's mother calling up my mother in the days of landlines and saying to my mother, "Linda, you got to get an agent. I mean, this movie's a hit. The kid needs an agent."
They were like hippies, River's parents, weren't they?
Yes, but they had been in the entertainment industry. They had lived in Los Angeles. My mom was a public school teacher, Jersey City, 70s, 80s, 90s. They just weren't showbiz people.
Yeah.
So this was a complete shock it was a shock. The movie was a hit.
Yeah.
And it was funny. The movie came out. I got an agent. River Phoenix's mom was kind enough to hook us up with an agent, and we got an agent. And my first audition after Stand By Me was a sitcom called Webster.
Great.
Starring Emmanuel Lewis. And
Look,
for those
we
who
all
don't
know-
remember, this is
we
the
all
part
know who started.
Right. This is where you cut to
a funny clip.
a clip of Webster. And I auditioned to be his friend, and it was for a 6-episode arc. For those who don't know what that is, that means 6 episodes or something like that. And it was kind of a big deal. And I just bombed the audition. My parents didn't know how to prepare for an audition.
How did you get Stand By Me?
Open call, New York City. Got
And
a call
how did
back.
you audition?
Got a call back. Got 2 callbacks. We had an actor who lived on our street. I grew up in New York City, very Chelsea, artistic.
Like 21st
17th and 7th.
Yeah.
This is in the 70s and 80s. It was all lofts. It was all
Went to the
artists.
apartment. Yep.
A very gay neighborhood. So we had a guy who lived on our block, character actor named Blake Brocksmith. You can look him up. He was in the Flamingo Kid. He was a character actor, and we knew he was an actor. I think he did a few off Broadway shows in our neighborhood, and we would go see theater in our neighborhood. There was a famous theater on the east side called La Mama, and a place called Naked Angels. We may have seen him in a play or something. And my mom said, "You got to practice this screen test with this guy as he acted down the street." And he was a character actor,
Yeah.
and he gave me such good auditioning tricks. Like, you got to get into a fight with Corey Feldman's character, so don't talk to him until you come in the audition room and then fucking explode on him. And he gave me tricks. He gave me auditioning tricks, and I got the role.
And did Corey audition with you?
They paired us up with a group of other kids.
Okay.
And Corey was one of the kids that I auditioned with. So I got it. And Neal, when I got to set, I got to tell you, up until that point in my life, I was called hyperactive. Now they call it, I guess, ADHD.
Yep.
but I was always in trouble, and I just recall my mother like having to go to principals and then dragging me to the car and being like, can't you just shut the fuck up? Why do you gotta sit on your hands, shut up, don't talk unless they call on you. What are you doing?
This accent's real.
Yeah.
That's how she talks.
Just shut up. Can't you shut up? It's funny, I went to a set.
The set?
Go to the movie set. First day of shooting.
This is in Oregon or something?
Oregon, Eugene, Oregon. We had rehearsed for a couple weeks. I got to know these kids. I remember coming from New York. I remember being like, all right, I gotta like act. I can't let these kids bully me. I gotta act tough. And then I was like, this is different. These are actors. Like they want to.
They don't. Yeah.
They want to work. They want to do acting exercises and stuff. They want to have fun. It was a different vibe. It was more survival where I'd come from in the New York City public school system, and so I was having fun and I was comfortable with them. And their energy matched my energy.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I remember the first day of set, we're shooting a scene and we're on set and we're doing The Master. For those who don't know,
scene?
The scene is the junkyard scene where we're sitting around and throwing stones into a can.
Yeah, I think Annette's tits are getting bigger. Think so? Yeah, I think so.
So there's a jump scare kind of thing?
No, there's no jump scare. It's just us talking and goofing around.
But then you cut to this. Like there was something scary at the junkyard. And
there was a dog that comes at the end of this scene.
White shit.
But this is the beginning of the scene.
Okay.
I'll tell you what happens at Stand By Me, Neal. So we're throwing stones in a can and we're doing our lines. And then the scene ends, right? And then I start fucking around, in character. But just, I felt comfortable around these guys and I start fucking around. And Rob Reiner, who directed Stand By Me, yells, cut. And he yells it, cut. And then he yells, Jerry. And he starts walking towards set. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. Like,
it's my mom again.
Sit on your hands.
Yep.
What are you doing? Shut up. Can't you just do the fucking lines and shut up? He comes in front of the whole crew, everyone, 60 people. And he says, Jerry, I want more of that. That's what I want. You see that, fellas? That's what I want. I want that. Let's go again. And Neal, it was like a light bulb went off in my body.
You're home. Yeah, this is what you've been doing, getting in trouble.
I gotta tell you, I felt like this is the real me when he said that. Now I know who I am. I didn't know who I was until that point, until he said that. And I thought, oh, this is me.
Yeah.
This is it.
It's okay to be like this.
This is it. This is who I am. It was, and I've been chasing Rob Reiner coming over and saying, that's what I want, more like that ever since. So there is something interesting that my wife says. We're going to get back to your child actor thing. My wife says that my relationship, we go to therapy as a couple.
Great.
That I put my career ahead of everything. And it's because I am chasing that high that I got from that and that feeling of just feeling at home.
Yeah.
Just at home. That said, talking about the child actor thing, it is funny. Stand By Me comes out. It's a big hit. I don't get Webster.
But my question is like, should a child have that level of responsibility?
Yeah. And I'm going to get it. I'm going to get to that.
Right.
I don't get the Webster role, right? I go back to public school. I'm now in the 8th grade at JHS 17, Clinton School. And I start to see Corey Feldman in Lost Boys, Will Wheaton's in Star Trek, and River Phoenix is in Indiana Jones and everything.
Yeah.
He's up for an Oscar.
Yeah.
And I'm a JHS 17.
Yeah.
And I remember I went to go see Lost Boys with my friends. And
are you in touch with those guys?
Yeah,
like just,
sort of.
I mean, in touch.
This is pre-cell phone,
yeah.
So
landlines was all
a little bit. Landline here and there. No, not really. I'm not writing letters to them.
Speak for yourself. I wrote letters to the entire cast.
But I remember I went to go see Lost Boys, and a buddy of mine, who I saw it with, was like, hey, that kid was in Stand By Me with you, that guy Corey Feldman. And I went, yeah. And he went, why aren't you in that movie? Like, the fuck's going on with you? And I remember feeling jealousy for the first time in my, and it was it was jealousy. It was like, why the fuck aren't I in that? And that was a problem when I was younger, was comparing myself to other people. And it's something if I do it now, Neal, I immediately recognize it and take steps to not only mitigate it, to try and erase it completely. Because that comparison, ding, right back of me. Is it floating in back of me?
Here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. So obviously you weren't made jealous, but jealousy is a human emotion. What I'm wondering is being a child actor, your experience with Rob is fantastic. Corey had a very different experience. River had a very different experience, I would guess. What I'm wondering is it too much responsibility for a child to be a professional at that level?
I think you got to go for it, because Stand By Me changed my life. For the positive. I wouldn't.
Absolutely.
I love it. I'll take all the
right, but it also changed Corey and River. And is it one of those? Will seems to be like had a more
He's
similar.
Doing well. He's doing well. I don't know. I really think it. I think it's really the individual and how they deal with it. I mean, also when you get older, these all just become experiences, and you can't change who you are. You know? I mean, that's it.
No, I guess it's like some kids get eaten up and their life is much worse. And I guess there's just no way to know.
There were times when I wasn't like, I remember thinking like, I was in Stand By Me. Something is, like, why aren't I getting that role in Webster, that 6-episode arc? I was in
But there was no like molestation. There was nothing.
No, nothing like that. I'm sorry.
I was hoping today.
No, nothing like that.
Boost the ratings.
Very positive experience. But I mean, I got to give you something here on Blocks.
No, you don't. No, I'm not saying it like I'm trying to extract it. I guess I'm just more curious as someone who did it, because most people were not child actors, and it's like, what is it scary? That sounds like yours was like liberating and validating. Other people, and I guess there's just no way to. It's a bit like drugs in that, like, a lot of people have an amazing time. Some people die.
It wasn't scary. I guess one could say Stand By Me being my first professional job sets you up for a lifetime of professional disappointment. It's tough to say, oh, tell me something you've been in. Stand By Me? Yeah. Anything else? Kangaroo Jack? The kangaroo that talks?
Yeah. Did incredibly well, Kangaroo Jack. Hey guys, how's your holiday shopping going? Who's on your list? I got to buy for my girl and myself a little bit, and I'm out of ideas. You want a unique and delicious gift idea? How about CookUnity for your family, friends, and even yourself? All right, here's the premise of CookUnity. They have a lot of different chefs creating a lot of different meals based on your preferences. So you go on there, you pick the kind of meal you want. I'm vegetarian, vegan, mostly vegan, a little vegetarian. Then how many meals you want, things you need to avoid, and then it'll give you options. The last time I did it was like 30 options. Because of my restrictions, whatever, we all got restrictions. There's like good Italian, there's good Indian, good Japanese. The food got to my house not frozen, on time, and it's like legitimately great. They had fake chicken, they had Impossible burgers, they had a lot of stuff that I like anyway. And they like, by the way, Mexican, they had a lot of burritos, they had a lot of bowls. They had a lot of options. I had 30 options. You probably eat more than me, so there's upward of 350 options. And it's also not expensive. A lot of these places are like $20 a meal, and this is not even close to that. So knock yourself out. Flexible, commitment-free subscriptions. Skip deliveries, pause, or cancel anytime. Enjoy restaurant quality meals for a fraction of the price. I would say these are restaurant quality meals. Subscriptions start as low as $11 a meal. Their roster of all-star chefs includes Food Network alums, James Beard Award winners, and acclaimed restaurateurs, balancing flavor and nutrition in small batch meals, sent fresh, not frozen. You could tell that they weren't frozen. It's still early for me, so I don't want to single out specific chefs, but they had really a lot of options, and And there's a couple. I got there's a woman and a man who I like their stuff. Give the gift of delivering mouth-watering meals crafted by local ingredients and award-winning chefs with CookUnity. Go to cookunity.com/NEAL or enter code NEAL before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using code NEAL or go to cookunity.com/Neal. This is a great thing. You should do it. Happy holidays, my angels. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Holidays, guys. I went to Thanksgiving. Not bad, actually. It was not. I had to sort of like, the voiceover was telling me like, attack, Neal. Counter that move. Your brother, just get him. But I didn't, because I've been focusing on, better mental habits. And therapy is no small part of that. Therapy is a great way to bring yourself some comfort that never goes away, even when the season changes. Again, therapy, I had no boundaries. I'm going to go on the record of saying I was codependent, guys. And I was constantly thinking about other people's needs. I would meet other people's needs to get then mine met. But meanwhile, they didn't meet mine because they didn't know that I was doing it to get theirs. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/NEAL today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/Neal. Get therapy. You're not nearly as healthy as you pretend you are. Happy holidays. So you did a sitcom called Camp Wilder in 1992.
Right, with your friend.
With Jay Moore, who I was roommates with at the time. And I remember Jay telling me a story about you went to a party and your dad went to the party and picked you up. Is that
this is a Jay Moore. This is a Jay Moore.
It's one of those things Jay Moore just like locks onto.
I know he locked onto it. It's not going to be that funny.
No, all right, then don't tell. I just like
I got to tell this story now that you asked about it. I went to a beach party when I was a teenager. My father I was going fishing with my father the next morning. My father came into the middle of the beach party. There was a bonfire, and my father yelled, "Jerry, the luau is over!" And Jay loved that story, so now anytime I see Jay, he yells, "The luau is over."
I kind of think of it too because he said it so many times to me. Did your dad have a British accent?
Yeah, he's a British guy.
How did your British dad end up marrying a
my
New
mother?
Jersey
My dad's from England. He moved to the United States in the 50s. That's how old he is, and he met my mom in the early 70s in New York, and my mother's from a little country called Jersey City. And it's funny, my father is a petite Englishman, and he said when he moved to the United States, he wanted a big American car and a big American wife. And my mom is a very tall lady from Jersey City. I think I put her down as one of my blocks.
Which I want to get into.
Yeah, I've been.
Please.
And I love my mom.
Yes,
my mom is. There's a good chance my mom is listening to this. My mother has discovered Google. I think I'm on a Google alert on her iPhone, and I love my mom. I don't want to call here
and Stand By Me, right?
But also, I don't want to I go to therapy. I go to therapy, and I don't want to blame. I hate the blaming of mommy. I
gotta say, this is what I'm talking about. It's like I kind of got rid of it, and now when people do it, I'm a bit like, you got to fast forward to like what you're doing.
I know.
So what you're doing is. It said your mom was generally distrustful.
Yes.
Of
women, really. It's funny, when I moved to Los Angeles. She was
distrustful of women?
Oh my gosh. When I moved to Los Angeles, there was like, don't get anybody pregnant. You got it. Like every phone call was, nobody's pregnant, right? You're not getting anybody pregnant. And probably looking back, I mean, maybe my mom had a scare or something, or maybe I've got a sibling out there. When I met my wife and started to seriously date my wife and then become engaged to my wife.
And then try to get her pregnant.
Oh my gosh. When my wife said, we have to try to get pregnant, I was like, I don't know how to do that.
You're married at this point.
Oh, I'm married for years at this point.
And had you talked about it?
Up until this point, I had been like running over to potted plants and ejaculating in them. I had such a fear of just really like entrusting
a good orgasm. A really satisfying orgasm. I'm not saying plants. Look, shout out to Harvey Weinstein.
Like, try it. Just try it, Neal. Try it.
Fine.
And call me afterwards.
So did it ruin sexual experiences for you? Were you like,
I think it ruined sexual experiences.
Hard to ruin, but yeah.
It made it impossible for me to be in any kind of relationship. And it was funny. It wasn't until I went to therapy with my wife where I really like unpacked it, where it was like a therapist, like within minutes said, your wife is now your most trusted confidant, not your mommy. And I was like, no, my mom. I call my mommy. I have a problem.
Were you doing that? You were calling your mom all the time?
There was an incident that happened. I had an appointment in the morning, and my wife said, "Oh, let's go get breakfast. So change this. I don't know, it was an audition or something. Change that audition. Can you do it later?" So I changed the audition to later. And then my wife said, "Oh, actually, I'm going to go do something. You can change it back to the afternoon, and we'll go do something in the afternoon." And so I changed it back. And I must have told my mom this story,
Mm-hmm.
Not that big of a deal. Hey, I can't make it to the morning. Can I change it to the afternoon? But we still have a landline in our house, like a speakerphone, and the phone rang and I hit it, and my wife was in the kitchen and I was in the kitchen, and the phone rang and I said, "Hello." And my mother said, "So she let you go to your appointment?" And my wife was like right there. And I was like, and I knew what was happening, but I just, my fight or flight was not working. And I went, "I'm sorry, what?" When you get busted and you're like, "What?"
Yeah,
What? And my wife said, Jesus
who am I?
Christ. My mom said, my mom said, your wife, she finally let you go at that appointment. She never lets you go to work. I mean, it's crazy. Everything's about her. I don't know what you're going to do. And my wife picked up the phone and said, "Hey, Linda, I'm right here. I can hear you." And my wife was like, "We have to go to therapy." My wife was very much into therapy. I was not into therapy.
Like literally hangs up the phone and goes like, "We got to go to therapy."
My wife said, "We're going to therapy." And I went, and it was, it was a real epiphany. It was like that Rob Reiner epiphany on the set where a therapist said, "You can't call your mommy if you have an issue with your wife changing those appointments. You have to tell your wife."
God damn it,
and really, it was sort of, a few more sessions that I realized, like the therapist was like, "Maybe you should come on your own a little bit." And it was a lot of, my mother. Now listen, I'm not complaining about my mommy. I love her. I talked to her on the way here to get to gear up for this, to get the juices flowing for you.
What was it? Just enmeshment? What did the therapist say?
I think my mom has trauma. I think
probably.
And
Jersey City,
I think I'm her eldest son, and I think there's a relationship there that I think it's healthy, but when I got married, it was probably unhealthy.
Was it like talk all the time, share everything, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, it was.
How did you explain like falling in love? Had you ever that you hadn't been married and you hadn't had a serious girlfriend, or you?
Well, yeah, I had a couple of girlfriends, I guess. But always on the way out, never serious. Yeah. Even when I was in, I was like on the way out. Always.
How would you? Could they sense it?
I think so, and I think. I think in a lot of ways it makes one more attractive.
Yeah.
I was pretty terrible as a boyfriend, I guess you could say. Sorry.
Were you would say you were terrible, or it was just kind of like
it was just
not like
I just knew I was never going to stay in any relationship I was in. I don't know.
Looking back, do you think it was because of your mom, or you think it was just because that's where you were?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Great.
Yeah, I think it was my mom in my ear saying, "Don't do it." Don't do it. I think also
your father and her are still married, no?
Yes, but I think my mother came from a different generation where people got married right out. I think my mother's sister, my aunt, got married right after high school, and it was disastrous.
Yep.
It was disastrous.
She didn't want you to get locked into something that you couldn't get out of.
And it actually goes back to college too. You know, I lived at home during college. I didn't stay in.
That's one of your blocks. It's a funny block because like I was in the dorm you very may well have been in, and I gotta say you didn't miss that much. I did lose my virginity. Pretty cool.
In that dorm.
In the dorm. Yes.
Yeah, so
10th
that's
and Broadway in New York.
So that's something. Wow.
That's the name of the building, not the woman.
Yeah, I lived at home during college. I mean, NYU was expensive, and so it was like saving whatever we could. And also, I think, you know, I now have children, and I'm going to encourage them to not stay at home should they choose to go to college.
Knowing how much it'll be expensive, and you think it's like you want them gone, or you just think it's constructive for them to do it?
Me living at home during college made me very insecure, in the sense that I was thinking like my buddies like Neal were like just having sex in their dormitory and losing their virginity, and I was not. I was living with my elderly grandfather, my parents, we had a dog, and my brother who was still in high school. And it was just crowded, you know? It was crowded. It was impossible to... I wanted to have sex, Neal. It was impossible to have a sex life with that. You know, I wasn't able...
That's interesting, though, as badly as you want to have sex, and your mom going like, don't. Was there, did you ever talk about the tension? Was there tension there, or was it just...
No, I mean, I still wanted to have sex.
Yeah, I guess it is a pretty basic urge.
I just didn't want to get...
people pregnant. Yeah, I guess that's what I wanted also. So not that different. My mom just wasn't that big on it.
But I knew I wanted to have sex. That was something I wanted to do. Badly. And I just felt like everybody was having fun and I wasn't. But
then
you know what?
You moved out here, and
not dissimilar to how you feel when you first moved to Los Angeles, which is like everyone's having fun and I'm not. We're like looking in the hills and being
like all those shimmery cocaine parties.
There's a party up there. Why am I not at one of them?
Yeah.
I'm a fun guy.
I remember when I first moved out here, I was like, when I make it, I'm going to get one of those floodlights and just put it in front of my house. Like, I don't know. I just wanted to like pop it off. Like,
it's so
something's happening and I'm not a part of it. And then I guess I've made it to varying degrees, and almost never have I been at a thing that was like, a couple of times I've been like, wow, this is a big thing.
You know, it's such a relief. I'm sure a lot of your listeners are way younger than me, but it's such a relief when you get older, because you actually, you realize you don't have to, not only do you not have to go out, it's not fun. It's way more fun to do something with one person and share an experience with one, maybe two people.
I have to convince myself of that pretty much every day.
And in terms of inviting people to my house, I don't want anyone there.
Let me be clear.
I have a cleaning person that comes once a week, and I'm like, oh fuck, here they are. Oh God, they're coming in, and they're coming in to clean.
I sulk the whole time. I'm sulking anytime there's somebody doing something in my house, and it's like a privilege. All the list of of course.
I actually help. I hand out Topo Chicos, and
you didn't have to use the Mexican one. It felt racist. I know.
I love Topo Chico.
It's the most bubbly one. I get it.
The 100% the bubbly one. I'm addicted to it. I love it.
But yes, I'm like.
Did you just put addiction in back of me? Addicted. Topo Chico.
Yeah. But I don't. I'm just like a real introvert or whatever. I like one person. You can really only.
Yeah.
It's like people think they can it's like I can't multi-friend. I don't even like having lunch with more than one person, like anything.
Yeah. I will say, now that I'm in a marriage, watch, I'm going to get divorced before this drops.
So. Yep.
It's so fun having somebody else, you know, don't always agree. It's really difficult.
How did you fall in love with her?
It was definitely physical. My wife, you can look it up, was a supermodel. I don't even think was. You are a supermodel.
They can't take that away.
It's like being a president. They don't say he was president.
And supermodel. When you meet her, you got to do a supermodel.
So there was definitely a physical attraction. Man, talk about insecurities.
Well, that's what I'm curious about. Is because back then she was Rebecca Romijn Stamos, so you had
100%.
Stamos hanging over you, and she was in the movie.
Oh my God.
And,
all of them.
Storm,
and also
she was Storm, right?
Mystique and the X-Men's. But also, I mean, like, you know, we take trips and I'm flying her. This is not a joke. This is not a bit. I'm flying her on Spirit Air, you know, and she's used to flying private, you know. This is a real.
Do you buy her like more overhead? Do you get her a blanket?
No, I say
you can buy it. It's all a la carte on there. You got to purchase it.
I said you can take
a foot
carry-on. And if you want, I paid for the bathroom access.
What a mensch.
So there is like insecurity.
Did you ever? Okay, I believe that there's some version of that that's true. Did you ever talk about it? Did you ever say like, I know what you're used to? Where were you flying her to on Spirit?
We were going to Oakland, and it was my wife is from Oakland.
Okay,
and we were flying up there. I mean, I don't know. I was on a budget. I
get it.
I just bought a condo. I had house payments.
Condo makes it even sadder, but yeah. On Spirit Air, it says click here if you just bought a condo, and they know what to charge you.
So there was a lot of insecurity about that. A lot of insecurity about, not being a star. Her ex was a huge star. I'm not going to talk about comments here on this show.
No.
It's so lame. But if you did read comments at that time, it was comparing me to her ex. Like, why is she with the fat kid from Stand By Me? What a fucking downgrade. And, you know, we'd go to lunch. We'd be in the Daily Mail and you read the comments and it's like, she went from that guy to fucking this fucking basic cable shithead.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess there was insecurity, and the only thing, Neal, why am I not insecure about it anymore? Is it age? What is it? Experience?
I think you probably just get used to her. Are you talking about people's responses?
I mean, all of it. I don't get, Neal.
You just can't do it. Nothing happens.
Neal, you and I are exactly the same age, almost the same person. Are you like me in the sense that you don't care anymore? Like,
I care, I think, less every day in a way that I enjoy. I did write in my gratitude checklist today that I do like life and I'm happy to be alive and I would miss it if I wasn't alive.
100%.
So like, I'm not like whatever. There are times where I'm like, if you want, I remember my mom one time being like, if I died now, I'd be fine. This is like 25 years ago.
If you died.
No, if she died. No, if she died, she'd be fine. So I get it. You can only, insecurity doesn't none of it leads anywhere.
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
Inner monologue, it never ends up with self-improvement. You just go, I don't know what to say. Yes, I'm with Rebecca Romijn. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And
you find it's like categorical. It's not just her. It's just everything that you used to care about, you find less
yeah, I gotta tell you, professionally too, I used to also professionally, if a show got canceled or if I didn't get a role, it would send me into like a tailspin for months, you know, and I would get jealous and upset about shows that did get picked up and why didn't mine get picked up, and then I would watch them and then obsessively look at the ratings of the shows that got picked up and it's not even doing well, Neal. And checking ratings of shows that I have nothing to fucking do with. And now I catch myself doing that.
You'll start to type it. This is what I find. I start to type it, it's loading, and I go, what are you doing?
Yeah. I got to tell you, if I feel that thought, what are some things I do if I feel that thought? I try and do like a contrary action. Like I know I'm getting jealous about something and that's not going to help me at all. Oh, this is another great thing. Like jealousy or comparison is, it's such an unattractive trait.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe because I just want to be attractive, I make sure not to have those emotions at all. So it's like,
doing the right thing for the wrong reason. It's fine. Still the right thing.
I can't be jealous or compare myself. That's not hot.
Yeah.
Hot people don't do that.
Hot.
Gotta be hot.
You're a hot guy.
I really enjoy getting older.
For that reason.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's funny how the tailspin, it'll be like 2 hours now. And then I still have it. There are times where I don't have it at all, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
and I go into like, what are they going to think and say? And they didn't. And then I'm just like, and then usually the same day, I'm just like, I'm over it. And definitely when I wake up the next day, it's over.
Yeah.
But you're right. It used to last months.
And it's
Years.
tough. And I get it. It's really tough. It's just, if there's like any takeaway or something, try and understand that is, that it's a fault with yourself, and try and just, I'm not saying you can cure it or get rid of it. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. Just try to recognize it.
Yeah.
Just try to recognize it. That's all I try to do now is just like recognize it and be aware of it. Is recognize floating in back of me right now?
Could be. And you have to pay. You have to pay after a certain number. You got to pay for each one. It's like Spirit Act. Yeah. I've been telling myself a thing in my gratitude checklist, which is don't identify with yourself. It sounds like what a psychopath would say, but like, we just think every thought and feeling we have is like gospel.
Yeah.
And like, we got to chase it and fucking polish it. And like, hey, that's right feeling. And I am jealous or I am upset or I am. And it's like, no, or you can just go, I don't know. That's just another one that I can either accept or reject.
Yeah. It's funny having kids too, because my kids are teenagers now. So when they say things like I have a daughter who goes up for high school plays and stuff. And she's like, talks about another girl who's going in for the same role, and I'm like, don't I'm telling you that path you're going down now, don't do it. It's something that I went down, and it's not pretty. Please don't do it.
I can't wait for when she comes down one morning. It's like, hey, why are you not in Lost Boys? Can you tell her Lost Boys? Can you tell her the Lost Boys story of like, it's not.
I don't know if I
was
could
there
tell her
anything
the Lost
positive
Boys.
about the jealousy? Did it spur action, or was it just like a negative feeling?
There's nothing positive about jealousy. There's nothing positive about it. Comparing yourself to someone else.
I think that's the key to Michael Jordan's success.
It became personal with me.
I think there are a lot of people that are like crazy.
Yeah.
And
it might be, I got to tell you, sports, athletics might be a little different because you're facing off to similar foes and like you have like a goal.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the same in like life. You know what I'm saying? I think it's almost like an individual sport where you like,
did it make you, what made you better at the job?
Wow, it's so funny. I just had a blast of insecurity. Like, who am I to tell people like what makes me better at a job?
Whether you're good or not, I'm saying what made you better after that garbage performance in Stand By Me? How did you turn it around?
Try not to get hysterical or upset about things. I realize that that things will pass, that tough times will pass. I'm currently working on a daytime talk show that is canceled. It has an end date.
I've been on
a daytime talk show called The Talk on CBS for like 5 years now, 4 years. And it's coming to an end in December. It's funny. I can really see people like panicking, It's been on the air for 15 years. I've only been there since 20
I thought it was earlier than that, but maybe you were doing something else.
I was doing something else. I was co-hosting with Kelly Ripa for a while there.
Right.
I've been doing some daytime stuff for a little while now. Wendy Williams also.
If we could get her on here, that would mean a lot.
How dare him? I control men.
I
get it.
And it's coming to an end, and I can see people who've been there for 15 years. It's like panic mode, It's scary. You've been on shows that are ending. It's like people react differently.
Mine ended a little abruptly, no, people do. You can see it's a bit of a.
And so I try not to. I try not to panic through those situations. I try not to act out. I always try not to act out. I try not to have any beefs with anybody. I try not to act out. There's been yelling on this show, like people yelling at each other. And I realize it's because emotions are high, That's the only reason.
Like when everybody was screaming at the street on COVID, it's like
emotions are high.
People are out of their minds.
And I try not to ever lose my shit, because
that sounds like good advice for as a person. I guess I'm wondering what has motivated you to improve if competition doesn't spur you, because competition does spur me. Like
I try to recognize fears, and I try to recognize insecurities, and I try to recognize resentments if I ever feel angry at somebody. And I try to think to myself, why am I mad? What is my part in this?
Yeah.
It's just so much cooler to not act out or freak out. It's just so much cooler.
It's hotter.
Now that said, you actually, you don't feel like weirdness afterwards. That's the worst part about like acting out and panicking or freaking out or yelling at someone, is your relationship will never be the same with that person.
You're going to act like, well, yeah, we're cool. We're never going to be cool.
You're never going to be cool again. And that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Oh man. And I got to tell you, a couple times I try to, if I do something bad, I try to immediately hold myself accountable. It's really funny. The last time this happened is on this daytime television show I do. We do topics every day, Neal. It's like, hey, good morning. We're doing topics today. What lotto? The lotto was $1 billion. What lotto numbers would you do? And I said, I'll tell you what lotto numbers I would do. And I read out all of my co-hosts' birth dates, years and everything. And they were very upset that I gave their years. And I thought it was like a cute joke. Like, I'm going to play your birthdays. Like it's like a, like a lotto thing, you know?
It's a lotto thing.
And a couple of them were like, why did you say my birthday on it? Why did you say my birth year? You know, they were upset. And immediately afterwards, I asked my boss, I was like, I got to have like a Zoom. And I had a Zoom. And I was like, I am so sorry I did that, everyone. I'm so embarrassed. That'll never happen again. And that was it. It was over. I mean, there was no weirdness between me and them at all. The really good one I have is, oh man, this is a long one that I had. I was on a TV show. I was an actor. I was playing a police. I was playing a cop on a procedural television show.
How many TV shows have you done?
I've been in a bunch.
You've been the lead on 10?
Like elite-ish. I don't know.
One of the leads?
What do they call it? They count them on the call sheet. Like, what number are you? I was number 8 on this call sheet. That means I was the 8th lead.
Yeah. You got 30?
It's so terrible when actors go, hey, what number are you on the call sheet? It's such a bad, by its comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, another bad thing that actors always say, hey, do you have to audition anymore?
Yeah.
Like that's another one. It never ends, by the way.
No.
Did a self-tape the other day. Never ends.
No.
Never think it ends.
No one's doing well except Tom Cruise, and he doesn't think he's doing well.
Put this like in a graphic in back of me. The struggle never ends.
I couldn't agree more.
And you have to change. Like, don't think it's going to end.
That's exactly right. If you think that it's going to get better at a certain point, stop thinking that, because it's never going to stop.
It's like quitting smoking. The cravings never end.
No,
You're never going to. You're always going to want a cigarette.
Yep.
You just can't have one, because if you have one, you're going to have 100,000. A pack, and then you're going to get a carton, and then you're going to be going to the doctor, and they're going to be doing an X-ray, and you're going to be shitting yourself all over again.
By the way, I say this to whenever someone brings up smoking. Do you know what percentage of smokers get lung cancer? 10 to 15%. It's not that high.
Okay, no, please, I'm over it.
It's not that high. I'm never doing it, but I'm saying you think it's 80%. It's not. It's
I got to get back to this story.
Okay.
So this is a really good thing about like holding yourself accountable immediately, to not have like weirdness with people, you know, and that gives you an ease. So I was a cop on this TV show, and I was so rude to this director for no reason. I have no idea why. It was like season 7 of this TV show, and I was just being rude. I was being a dick. I couldn't even tell you why. I was hungover. I don't know. I was a jerk, and I was like telling them what to do and what I wouldn't do, and I was giving them a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
I often thought about what a dick I was to that director.
Just generally.
Yeah, I was a dick.
No one said anything? No one said like, you're an asshole to that guy?
I don't think so.
It was just a thing you were aware of.
Anyway, like 2 years ago, just 2 years ago, I saw her in a coffee shop with her husband, and I recognized her, and I felt sick seeing her. I was like, oh my God, that's the person I was super rude to. Neal, I swear to God, I walked right up to her, and I went, hey, and she was like, oh, hi. And you could tell it was like awkward. She said, this is my husband. I went, hi. I said, right in front of the husband in the coffee shop, I said,
I'm in love with you.
I said, have you ever phoned Spirit?
Trying to go to Oakland?
I was in a terrible place in my life when I was so rude to you on that show. It's something that I really, like I think about it, it makes me cringe. It gives me, I lose sleep over it. I was a monster. I don't know why I was like that. Let me know if I can ever make it up to you. I don't think I can, but I'm just so sorry. And I did it in front of her husband and everything. It was crazy. And then I walked out and I was like, I can't tell you how amazing it felt just doing that.
That's
you know,
so funny.
And I don't have any weirdness with her. You know, it's so funny.
Did she acknowledge it? Like, oh, I remember. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Did she try to play it down? Or
I got to tell you, Neal, this is how self-centered I am. It wasn't even about, it was about me at that point. I'm sorry, dude. It was about it keeping me up at night, you know? I don't even recall her reaction. I really got out of there. I was too embarrassed.
But it felt clean. Like you said what you had to do, and you felt like, okay, this is no longer a thing that one of us
is that self-centered of me to make it about me?
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
Sorry.
Let's be honest. What most people really want for the holidays is to see their favorite people more often. That's why this year, the best gift you can give, besides plane tickets, is an Aura digital picture frame. Named the #1 digital photo frame by Wirecutter, Aura frames are incredibly smart and easy to use, allowing you to upload unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone to the frame. Plus, you can order the frame online and preload it with photos and videos using the Aura app, so it's ready to go right out of the box. I did it. It's great. I got one for my girl. Got one for me. You know, as much as I resent show business, I also try to be grateful. So when people text me nice things, in the past, I would take a screenshot of a nice text from somebody, send it to the thing, and then it would take weeks. Now, with Aura, I can just send it directly to the frame. I don't need to send a thing to a thing. And it's like, it's so streamlined and so cool. I'm actually excited to use it. And I loaded all my old ones. And now when I get new nice texts, I'll put those in as well. It's great. Like, it's great. Save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code NEAL at checkout. That's Aura Frames, AURA frames.com, promo code NEAL. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply. I'm telling you, this is a great product. I'm like glad to be alive that this is a product I can use. It's so cool. You know, being an adult has its high points. Like, for instance, one day a week, I only eat sugar. Sundays, sugar day. I only eat sugar. I might throw a protein in there just so I don't die, but sometimes I don't. That's the fun of being an adult. But it's not all fun. You also have to do your taxes and figure out what's for dinner every freaking night except Sunday because, you know, it's sugar night. And make doctor's appointments. For that one, there's Zocdoc. It's the healthcare app that makes adulting that much easier. Zocdoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skin care, and much, much more. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, who are located nearby, who are a good fit for any medical need you may have, and who are highly rated by verified patients. I'm looking forward to using this legitimately. My insurance website's a nightmare. Plus, Zocdoc appointments happen fast, typically within 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. Unbelievable. Legitimately. Whenever they bring up, like, socialized medicine, you can never see your doctor. It's like, I can't see my doctor now. I'm legit. I have not used this. I didn't know that this was what Zocdoc was, and now I'm going to use it. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to Zocdoc.com/NEAL to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/NEAL. Zocdoc.com/NEAL. I truly cannot wait to use it. I'm so sick, as your comments will attest. If you search me, the autofill says Neal Brennan sick. Try it now, and then go to Zocdoc.com/Neal. You're cheap, which I really like.
Oh yeah. I don't spend money on myself. It's really funny. My wife is someone who's spends money on herself, and I just don't do it. I just don't know what it is. Went through a
Does
couple
she have to buy things for you?
Yeah, my wife does buy things for me.
Do you want them?
No, I don't even want them. I don't
No.
like things. I don't even need
I don't
them.
really either.
I'm not a car person.
Nope.
When I fly, as you know, as we mentioned earlier, I fly as cheaply as I possibly can. When I
You
travel,
were proudly, if you pay for your own ticket, it's economy.
way back of the plane. I mean, not only economy, middle seat.
As close to the bathroom as possible. That's your rule.
Whatever is the least expensive, that's what I will purchase. And I do have to. I had to go to a wedding with my wife to Florida, and I got to buy first class seats for her.
Did it hurt?
'Cause she was married to John Stamos. I
Yeah.
gotta treat her right.
Mr. First Class. She's known for it.
And it pains me to no end. It's really
So
tough.
you
But I do
will-
it because I enjoy being married.
Do you fly? You'll be on the same flight, and you'll fly.
That has
economy, and
happened.
She'll fly.
That
first
has
or
happened.
business.
No, this last time we both flew first class, but
Right.
I reminded my wife of it frequently and often.
And
Enjoy that chicken.
What do you enjoy first class? Or
Doesn't
it just
everybody?
doesn't make a difference? Okay, so you do enjoy it. It's not like
I don't indulge in myself. I'm really I do really obsessive things. Like I go through my apps that I pay for and I cancel them if I don't
Yeah.
use, especially like music apps or like radio apps or like thing. I'm like, and like I think to myself, I'm not going to pay that $3.99 a month. I'm not going to do it. And
I not kidding. I downgraded Netflix
so did I.
just to give you a sense of how cheap I am.
Yeah.
They provide me with a lot of, and I'm like, well, I don't need the high. It doesn't, my 4K, I don't use the 4. It doesn't make a difference.
I think it's also being in this business. You're faced with abject unemployment
Yes.
at any time. And it's so
January in your case, correct?
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to be cool with it. You have to, it's so funny. You got to be down with the unemployment. You can't be afraid of it. I've been with the same manager all the time. I got to give him a shout out. Michael Rotenberg. I've been with him since the 90s.
Great.
Love him.
Yeah.
In my more frightened youth, I was in a TV show that got abruptly canceled. And he took me out to dinner and he went, listen, I know you're freaked out. I know you're upset. I'm sure I was like cycling when I was talking to him. And he went, but you got to figure out a way to make this the fun part.
The unemployment, basically.
It really stuck with me.
Huh?
He said, if you can change your mindset and make this part the fun part of the business, I'm telling you, there'll be no end to how far you can take this. And that really, so now I try to go to a contrary action, which is, oh, I'm scared, I'm losing a job. Wait a minute. This is the fun. How do I make this the fun part?
How do you?
When you recognize you're going down a dark sort of hole, you try and recognize it and do things to get out of it. Do a contrary action. Do something that gets you out of that mindset. It's so funny, this business too. You can't really chase something aggressively. You know, I've been hounding you for years to get on blocks.
Before I even had it.
It's almost like wooing, like courting someone. You can't like come on strong. You have to like, it's almost like you have to be a
the thing I
cat.
was thinking of, you're the one who said it. Fuck, I can't. You were doing a Broadway show 8 years ago. I was doing 3 mics in New York.
Yeah.
We're
I came
walking
to
down
see you.
Broadway.
Yeah.
And you said that you had started a play and you hadn't really done much Broadway. And you said, Broadway actors are like cats. And I never heard anyone categorize. And I was like, what do you mean? You go, you can't walk up to them. You have to hold your own and let them come up to you. And I've said it 15 times since talking about different people because it's such a great analogy.
Crazy. It's crazy.
And
I do have cats. I love cats. I'm a cat guy.
my girlfriend likes it. And,
oh God, they're great.
But I personally don't like them. But
Cats.
Cats, yeah.
Oh, come on, Neal. You gotta love them.
They seem endlessly curious and freaked out by everything they find.
No, you know what? Hand feed them. They'll be your little pussies. Hand feed them.
Now we're talking. The thing I was going to say is the other thing about being old is you've seen everything come and go. And so you've seen so-and-so, is the hottest, and then they're not, or the big.
Yeah.
You can't imagine a world in which everyone isn't obsessed with X, and then it just everything fades.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're like, all right, so I'm not working in January, and I'm gonna go karting or whatever you're gonna do.
I am fortunate enough to have a spouse who earns a pretty good living, so it's not a financial thing. So I do have that luxury. I do want to say it is really fun doing it with somebody else.
I was gonna ask that.
Oh man, it's so fun doing it with somebody else. I can't explain it
because it contextualizes.
Because the lows aren't that low,
right?
And the highs are fun, but not that high. Like I can't explain it.
Because they're not. It's not that serious.
Yeah,
and also longevity.
And we're just so pleasantly surprised. My wife is really quite successful now. My wife's on a show, Star Trek, Strange New Worlds on Paramount Plus. It's doing really well.
How many seasons?
4 or 5.
Right.
It's going.
Is she like famous everywhere, or is it like the sort of like people? Because fame is sort of regional now. Where like she'll go somewhere and be incredibly famous, and then same with you, same with
I don't even think we think about fame. Like, what is it? Like,
it's just.
I mean,
it's more people.
Yeah,
nod at you.
But also, what is fame anymore? Like,
that's what I mean.
What is it? Likes? What is it?
No one knows.
I mean, what is fame? We don't care. We like to. I want to be on a set where Rob Reiner comes up and says, "Keep doing that."
It's never going to happen again.
You don't know that.
I don't know how to tell you this. Now would someone do it as a bit?
Are we coming to a close?
Feels like.
I do want to say one last thing.
Go.
This isn't going to work out. You're going to be back at school. I love you, pal.
Got me. I got O'Connelled again. All right, buddy. Great to see you.